Hello.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you. I don't know about the other guy.
Oh, perfect. This is two-way communication. I was not known.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm putting up to the computer audio now. I want you to speak.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Can you guys speak?
Yes, we hear you
Yes,
now.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
I can hear you now.
So I want to start you from the basics. Want you to show how exactly did you guys saw this PowerPoint before?
And not for me, no. Never.
Okay, so that means nobody has seen it yet. So now let me give you some what is this? Some basics before starting or going into Hyper-V, like how exactly the server looks, how exactly it is. So if you see the server from inside, it's something like this. I have a server right now in front of me. I just bought it for you guys to show you or give you the feel of how the server is or how you are going to work on it. So this is how it looks from inside. So if you have ever opened your own desktop or a laptop, it's the same thing. Only difference is because it's a server, it has more slots. Like in your laptop or a desktop, you will have two slots for a memory or one internet Ethernet card. In in a server you have multiple Ethernet cards. You have multiple. I mean, in a laptop or a uh, on a or a desktop, you have one or two uh, slots where you can enter where you can put the hard drive. But in a server, you have more slots. So everything is more. So you have about 8 slots of Ethernet cards in a server where you can have 8 Ethernet cards where you can put 8 Ethernet cards simultaneously. You have 6 to 8 memory cards slots available. So memory means RAM. So in normal computers or in our normal servers, we usually have two, but servers have more. But if this is how it looks from inside. So you know what central processing unit is? It is used to process any requests that are created by an operating system. Now there are multiple type of central processing units. So what is a RAM? So there is this is how the slot looks like. If you guys can see it clearly. Let me see if I am recording this session. Yep, it's getting recorded. So, memory is used to store and maintain processes from an operating system. And in our server, the current server, what we have around um, 4 or 6 memory slots. So this is the slot, and here is the hard disk. Like, what is the use of the hard disk to store information? And memory in detail, if you go, so the reason memory cannot be avoided is because hard drives are slower than memory. So typically a memory bus bandwidth for physical memory is around 48 gigabytes. That is 6 GB per second, while a standard hard drive speed is around 800 to 1024 megabytes. So the speed of the hard drive is very slow. So if you remember, or if you know the current speed of whatever the laptop you have, it's going to be 5400 rpm. So that's what the speed the hard drive can move. I'm not speaking about the solid state drives, because solid state drive is very different. These drives are cylindrical drives which revolves and store the data and store the data. Okay, so the speed is really less if you compare it with the RAM. RAM is a very speed device. It has more speed. So whenever we open a laptop, what exactly happens? The operating system resides in the hard drive. It gets loaded. Whatever the things that needed to open and show you a desktop, all that things loads into a RAM, and then how it shows you by opening it. So anything you try to open, if you're trying to open a game, you're trying to open whatever you are trying to open, it first loads into a RAM, and then it shows you. Direct memory access (DMA) allows hardware such as disk, graphic cards, network cards, and etc. to access memory and CPU independently. So what is a DMA? Direct memory access. So direct memory access is actually a bus which carries all the signals needed for disk, graphic card, and network card to access the memory and CPU independently instead of depending on each other. Any process from the operating system has to come from OS. That is right. OS is the heart. It will give an order. It goes to hard drive. From hard drive, it goes to memory. And from memory, it goes to CPU. Again, it goes to CPU. Sorry, again, it goes to memory. And again, it goes to OS, and it shows you. Now, what is an operating system? operating system manage server hardware and define various tasks that are required to process by CPU, and the output result is either displayed on screen or stored in memory or hard drive. So by now, I mean, you already had a class before, so by now you might have understand what is the role of operating system. So it's a if it's a graphical thing where I mean, if you take Windows, it's a graphical thing. So if you want to see an output, like if you open a Paint and if you want to see an output, you put it there and you can see it. So how you are seeing it, what exactly happening behind is a very different story. Computer only understands zeros and ones, but you are seeing a diagram in front of you. So this is happening because of the operating system. There are various types of enterprise operating systems currently available in the market. So there is Microsoft, a very big operating system vendor. So there is also Linux, Unix. In Unix, there are a lot of flavors. Okay, we will speak about it in the later classes also. So kernel is the heart of the operating system, and kernel sends instructions or codes that need to be compiled or processed. So uh, in an operating system, there is something called kernel, which is like heart of the operating system, which has all the calculations, all the instructions, how to operate and work along with the um, operating system. This is how the kernel is represented. The heart of an operating system is the kernel. The kernel usually resides in the memory for fastest accessibility. So as soon as you open a laptop or a desktop or a server, the kernel gets loaded in the memory, that is your RAM, and it gets access through there. So kernel has all the programming languages, information that process the application needs to run. So this depends upon the operating system you are using. If you're using Windows 8 or Windows 10, so these are domestic kind of operating systems where a normal people has to use it. So for you, calculation is not that important, but for everyone there is something that is more related to their work. I mean, if an architect is using it, he has to use it on his own way, or if a mathematician is using it, it has to be used on his own way, and also depends upon which operating system he is using it. In that way they will have a different kernels every time. So if you are using a 2012 R2 server, it will have a different set of kernel. And if it's using 2008 operating system, it will have a different kernel. So every operating system, or if someone is using Linux, it's a different kernel altogether. So if this depends upon which operating system you are using. Kernel has all the operating languages, information, and processes and applications need to run. Kernel acts as a bridge between a software and the hardware layer. So if you see, this is the application, this is the hardware, CPU, memory, and devices, and in between there is kernel, which is residing in actually it's residing in memory, and it's playing with all the devices and the application. See, if the application says, suppose um, this is our server. Okay, if application says I want to run a database, I mean, there are different databases. Okay, in one server there can be many databases. So on one particular database, I want to run a particular query to get a particular result. So that is an application. So database is an application. So now if the database is the application, suppose let's take SQL. So SQL is an application, it has to be ran. When it ran, it goes to memory, do the calculations, then it goes to CPU, do all the, I mean, it goes to CPU, see whether the RAM is available or not, and if it's available, then do the calculation, then it comes up. And who is giving all these instructions is kernel. You guys are getting it, right? See, I'm not reading any messages, so and you are very much open to open up your mic, and if you can tell me anything if you have any questions. If you don't understand anything, if you think I am going fast because this is really a basics for me, um, you can let me know.
Yeah, the kernel, it's located in the memory, or is it in the memory, right?
Actually, it's a part of operating system. So whenever you open a server, it gets loaded into memory.
I see. Okay. Okay.
You got it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Static and dynamic kernel. Static is monolithic and dynamic is microkernels. So drivers are built into the kernel. So if it's static kernel, the drivers are built into the kernel, and the static kernel have very large memory footprint. So that means what happens is whenever you open an operating system and it has a static uh, kernel, it has a very it's a very large file. So suppose 3 GB is filled up in your RAM. And in the dynamic, if you see, drivers are linked to the kernel when the hardware is attached. So if you see nowadays, what's happening is um, whenever you put a pen drive in your laptop, it automatically detects the drivers, install it. This is happening because of the kernel. So, and that too because of the dynamic kernel, because it's a very small footprint on the memory. So what happens is a very less programming code gets into the memory. Whenever it found there is a new device connected, like a printer or a pen drive or a keyboard or a mouse or anything, it search for the drivers, downloads it, and then connect it. In a static, what happens is every driver is already there in it. As soon as you connect it, you can use it. There is no need to install anything because it already has it. The static kernel has all the drivers built in to the kernel, which makes the static kernel memory footprint very large. Currently, there are no static kernels in use to date because that was the old thing when they used to do it. When they like each and every suppose see you have uh, in a static kernel, suppose there is a Microsoft keyboard, there is an LG keyboard, there is a Microton keyboard, there Oracle keyboard. I mean, so many companies has their own keyboards, has their own mouse, has their own pen drives. I mean, to have all their drivers into the kernel, that I mean, it used to happen in 1980s, but now it has been reduced, and now each and every kernel is a dynamic kernel only, and that is how it's getting worked on. So doing that has reduced the footprint of the kernel. So now the very less code gets into the memory. So whenever you open your laptop or your desktop, you only see how much memory is used. If you go into performance and see how much memory is used, you will see about 2-3% of memory. That's it. All rest of the memory is just lying there to use it. So all the modern operating systems are packed with the microkernels, which links all the drivers using .dll dynamic linked library. Okay, make a note of this. What is a .dll? It's a dynamic link library for it's so whenever you open a desktop or a control panel, there are all DLL files behind it, which is actually opening it. So there are some thousands of DLL files which supports to open and show you what things are in front of you. Or .os shared objects in Unix and Linux. In Unix or Linux, it says as shared objects. In Windows, it says .dll, which is dynamic link library. Enterprise operating systems. So now let's look at the operating systems. Microsoft Windows Server 200X actually represent 2008, 2008 R2, 2012, 2012 R2. Before that it was 2003. There were 2000 also. These were also enterprise operating systems. Nowadays, the Microsoft has came up with a new operating system that is 2016. It's still under testing, but going to be deployed pretty soon. It's testing with the companies, not with Microsoft, because it's already being released. There are few companies who are using it, and even in my company, we are testing it. Maybe in next 2 months, this operating system will be out. Okay, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux, I want to add things here like 5.x, 6.x, 7.x. So it's under use. Okay, right now people are using it. 5.x means 5.1, 5.2 up to 5.12, and then the version changes to 6. So this is how the Red Hat came up with. So every few months it comes up with an update. So right now, as of now, the current update what is getting used is 7.3. Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7.3. So from 5.5 to 7.3, if you go to any company, you can find any operating system between 5.5 to 7.3. Okay. Same goes with Oracle Enterprise Linux. It's absolutely same operating system with a different name. All the commands mostly are same, maybe one or two different because this is a product of Oracle, this is a product of Red Hat. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Oracle Enterprise Linux. Now these are all flavors of Linux. VMware EXX, this is also made from Unix. So it's a kind of Linux. Citrix Zen Server, IBM AIX, it's also Unix, and this is developed by IBM. It was a very big operating system a few years back, but it went down now a little bit, but they might come back with a new operating system with new things, as if Sun Solaris. Sun Solaris, you will still find Sun Solaris in few companies. Now Sun Solaris, actually this operating system was gone. No one was using it anymore. But now they come with Sun Solaris 11, and there are few companies who are using it. HPUX, I saw this software about 3 years back. One of the company in California was using it, but this was about to go. So this is HPUX is also Linux, and it's made by HP. Okay, so IBM has its own Linux, Citrix has its own Linux, VMware has its own Linux, Oracle has its own Linux, Red Hat has its own Linux. So these all companies made their own code. Why they did it? Because Unix is a freeware version, and you can do. I mean, if you have a good kernel knowledge, you can create your own kernels. So they have created their own kernels, and they are pretty good. They are doing pretty good in the market. So let's see CPU in detail. Every CPU has a clock speed. The fastest the clock speed, the faster the frequency of the number of cycles a CPU can perform in a given time. For an example, 2 gigahertz. The speed of the CPU cycle determines how fast a process is processed. Before going further, guys, I also want to inform you is even you can change this clock speed on your laptops or desktops. Don't do it. Don't ever try to do it because your clock speed has been given to you by your company and they know exactly what is right for your laptop. So that's how they have made it. Don't change it. Don't add it more. Your laptop might burn out. That's can happen because changing the clock speed increases the workload of CPU and the burst speed. So if you read this, every CPU has a clock speed. The faster the clock speed, the faster the frequency of the number of cycles a CPU can perform in a given time. So every CPU can perform certain things in a certain amount of time. So if it's Pentium 1, it can perform, its clock speed is different. It can perform a function in certain amount of time. If it's Pentium 2, it can function in a certain amount of time. If it's Pentium 3, it can perform in a certain amount of time. If it's Pentium 4, if it's quad core, if it's dual core. So if it's dual core, that means there are two cores in one CPU. So the two functions can be performed in one simultaneously at one time. Quad core means four functions can be performed in one time at one time. And there is also a concept of hyper-threading. We will go into it. So what is CPU cache? CPU cache is used by the CPU to store frequently accessed data or process rather than the memory because it reduces access time between CPU and memory. So there is also CPU also has its own cache. So it's a small memory where he saves a frequently asked processes. Suppose you are doing one calculation again and again. So it will not go to memory, get the information, then put it on the screen. It directly do it on the CPU and give the output because it's stored in the CPU cache. Now we are coming to hyperthreading. So what exactly the hyperthreading? Hyperthreading is suppose you have a 4-core processor or a 2-core processor. So what that means actually? So you have one processor which have 2 cores. Okay. So each core can handle one process. So simultaneously, if you have 2 core, your CPU can handle 2 processes simultaneously. And if you also enable hyperthreading, hyperthreading is a concept where it shows the bus or the memory that you have 4 processes. So 2 into 2. So hyperthreading allows a process to run 2 threads at a time. Hyperthreading works by duplicating certain sections of a processor. A hyper-threaded processor can appear as two processors rather than just one in operating system. So the dual-core hyper-threaded processor will appear in an operating system as four processors. You guys understand this, right? So the concept of hyper-threading, suppose you have a dual-core server. So that means you have one processor which has two cores in it. And if the hyper-threading is on, so now that 2 into 2 will become 4. Guys, please confirm you understand the concept of hyper-threading.
Can you please one more time, please, if you don't mind?
Can you be a little louder? Didn't heard you.
Yeah, can you repeat this part one more time, please? I just missed some part. The voice can missing sometimes.
Sure. So, so every CPU has a clock speed. So even if you open up your laptop or your desktop, and if you go into BIOS, you can see the clock speed. But my recommendation is don't ever touch your clock speed, because your company, who your laptop belongs to, like HP or Dell, they know better than you, and they have adjusted the clock speed. So don't do it. So it usually, what it says is the clock speed increases. If you see 1990 laptop and if you see a laptop now, there is a huge difference in a clock speed. This is what it means. But you can also change it if you want to, if you know the calculations. So every CPU has a clock speed, and the faster the clock speed, the faster the frequency or the number of cycles a CPU can perform in a given time. So what happens is, why is this thing not going down? CPU, memory, hard disk, and at last all that information you can see it on your screen. So clock speed is like how fast it can process and goes to memory and then come back and do it again and then come back and do it again. So if you change it, it goes very fast and it puts a load on a CPU. So if the CPU couldn't handle it, it burned out. So it's that bad if you change it in the BIOS. So you don't change it, but it keeps on increasing, and the heat resistance, the companies are adding it to the newest one. And every CPU are coming up with a cache memory. So what happens is, if you are doing a calculation every time, like 2 into 2, you are doing 2 into 2, again you are doing 2 into 2, again you are doing 2 into 2. So now what happens is, when you put 2 into 2 on the calculator, this goes to a bus. From bus, it goes to a CPU, do the calculations. From there, it goes to memory, store the result, and then display it on the monitor. So it has the result. So as soon as the next time when you put 2 into 2, it knows the result is already there in the memory, and it directly gets displayed. So no more calculations. So that's how the CPU, it's resting. They made it the way that it should also rest if you are asking for the same information again and again. You got it, right? This is all about the first part.
Yeah, I got. Thank you.
So, did you guys got the concept of hyper-threading?
Yes, sir.
So this is the same thing what we were speaking about before about the CPU cores. In today's modern CPUs, you will find lot of CPUs are being marked as dual core, quad core, etc. What's a core means is that a CPU can be divided into multiple small CPUs so that multiple processes can be executed at a time. Without core, a CPU can process only one process or a thread at a time. Any questions here? Pretty explanatory if you read it. So let's go. CPU in detail. Multi-processor CPUs. A server can have multiple processors. So what happens is in a server, well, in a server there is not I mean, if you see there are four core, quad core. So there will be two quad core uh, CPUs. So what does that mean? If you have two quad core, two into, and I can't write it. Quad core means what? Quad core means four processes, right? Four into two, 8, right? And if I open hyper-threading, 8 into 2 will make it 16 processes. That means right now I have 16 processes and I can simultaneously process 16 things. Okay, so a server can have multiple processes. This is based how the motherboard was designed and who designed the motherboard. Below are various type of processors for servers like Intel. Intel Xeon is the latest one in the market. So Intel Xeon. So if it's Intel, then it's manufactured by Intel, can be used by HP, Dell, Cisco, and the operating systems which can run on this are Windows, Linux, EXXI. Linux means all Linux flavors, mostly, not all, but all Windows, EXXI. So the main competitor for Intel is AMD Optron. Optron is the latest technology what AMD has, and which operating systems can be ran. Windows, Linux, EXXI again, and who uses AMD is same HP, Cisco, Dell, and PowerPC by IBM. So here comes the monopoly. So IBM is the company which makes each and everything of his by his own. So if it's an IBM, PowerPC by IBM, then only AIX can be installed on it. You cannot install Windows on this service. It won't accept it. It cannot work along with that because that hardware requires a particular software only to be installed. And that software is also created by IBM. So everything IBM. PARISE, Rise by HP. So this is HPA hardware, and also a particular operating system is needed, and it's a failed operating system. Never heard about that hardware before. Spark, by Sun or Oracle. This is also a particular hardware a particular CPU which can only be used by Sun in their own hardware with their own particular operating system. So there are three types of operating systems: 32-bit, 64-bit, 128-bit. Right now, the 32-bit is almost going away because only 64-bit operating systems are mostly coming out in the market now. From 2012, there is no 32-bit server operating systems. It's only 64-bit operating system in the market. So Microsoft is not creating 32-bit anymore. So most of the modern computers are now 32-bit based computers, and the reason for 32-bit limitations is because the motherboard cannot transfer more than 32 bytes of information at a time from memory to CPU, and this limitation is due to the bus channel in the motherboard. So this 32-bit is for what I am speaking here is for your laptops or desktops like Windows 8 can be bought in 32-bit, can be bought in 64-bit. But if you recommend, I would say go for 64-bit, don't go for 32, because in the server level, it has been changed to 64-bit operating systems. There's no more 32-bit. If you go back, if you see 2003 or 2008 servers, at that time there were two operating systems, 32-bit or 64-bit. But now it's only 64-bit. Most of the modern servers and the newest computers are now 64-bit based, and the supercomputers are now 128-bit based. The wider the bus width, the more information can be sent at a time to be processed. Understood, right? So a processor can be divided into multiple CPUs. Like one CPU, if you open hyper-threading and if it's 4 core, so if you have two of them, so it's a 16 CPU now. So it can process 16 processes. And wider the bus width, the more information can be sent at a time to be processed. So these are all interconnected. So if you cannot wider the bus width if you have one CPU there. You have multiple CPUs, you are increasing the burst width, and you have more RAM. This is how the server is built on. Oh, we are done with the CPU. So guys, let me know if you understood it correctly and if you have any questions before I move to networking. No questions? I'm going forward. So now, what is a network? A network allows exchange of information or data across computer network. A data network is a group of computers connected to one another by communication paths as well as the standards that allow communication. A network can connect to other network, allowing virtual worldwide communication between two endpoints. So anything can be a network. If you have two laptops and if you can communicate between two laptops, it's a network. Right now, every house has a network because you have a router and your wife or your parents, everyone has a phone or a laptop. And whenever you come home, you get connected to a network, to your own internet. So once you are on the same internet, your wife is on the same internet, or your children are on the same internet, You never tried it, but you are in a network. You can communicate. I mean, you can communicate with your phone. A phone can communicate with your laptop. Types of networks. Modern networks always use TCP/IP. So TCP/IP is a protocol which is used in networks. So modern networks always use TCP/IP, and TCP/IP is divided into LAN and WANs. So what is a LAN? Local area network. What is a WAN? Wide area network. Right now, what you have at homes, where you have two phones and two laptops, or one laptop, one desktop connected, it's a local area network. And what we are doing right now, how you are connected to me right now, I'm speaking to you and you are able to see my screen. How is it possible? This is WAN. So LAN, local area network, is a small geographical area such as corporate office network. LAN can also be considered as an intranet. As I said, right? If you go do this, if you have two laptops, do ipconfig on both of them. Open command prompt, put ipconfig. You will see two IP addresses. From one laptop, ping the other laptop IP address. From this, ping the other IP address. You can do it. That is intranet. A wide area network is extremely large geographical area such as the entire world or a country. WAN can also be considered as an internet. A simple LAN and WAN relationship. So this is a LAN. So this is a switch or a router, and to a router there are two servers connected, and from a router there is a switch and there are three clients connected. Take out the switch. Suppose this all are connected to a router. Now this is a router. All are connected to a router. But this router and this router, when they communicate, it's a WAN connection. But this is a LAN connection. So right now everybody has this connection at home. TCP/IP. So the full form of TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol / Internet Protocol. A very important protocol. Only because of this protocol, the whole internet is standing. If this protocol didn't existed, there will be no internet. So this is that important. So TCP/IP allows modern corporate network communication between two ends, or two network cards, or two network devices anywhere in the world. TCP/IP communicates using data bits or packets. So how is the communication transferred from me to you? Right now you are able to see this slide on your computer. How are you seeing it? It's using a data bits or packets getting transferred between me and your router, and that's how you are seeing it. So TCP/IP communicates using data bits or packets. The biggest advantage of using TCP/IP is there is a minimal or no packet loss due to its retry interval, considering there are no other network issues such as router or switch outage. So in this, what happens is in TCP/IP, there is no packet loss. Why there is no packet loss? Because it if there is a loss, suppose if there is a loss, it will retry it. It will retry it again and again, again and again, and get it. To know more about TCP/IP, please study the OSI Model Act. So, guys, you have to look at it. This is a very important link. OSI model. Sometimes this people can ask this question. Anytime anyone can ask you. You should know the OSI model. It's it's our first basics of networking. To keep things simple, TCP/IP is nothing but a protocol to send information along multiple devices. To make things easier, the transmission control in the abbreviation of TCP means that packets are transferred in a controlled fashion across the multiple devices, and it doesn't matter if the network is either WAN or a LAN. So TCP/IP is a protocol. What is a protocol? Do you know that? Protocol is a set of rules. It's actually a set of rules how one packet to be delivered to the destination, from source to destination. So this is called a protocol, a set of rules. Okay, the first thing. Then what is TCP/IP? TCP/IP is a rule which governs how one packet is going to be sent to the destination. IP addresses or IPv4. Network devices. Okay, we said one packet is going from a source to a destination, and the set of rules is set by TCP/IP. Okay, so concentrate here. Devices. So, what is the device which sending a packet? It's a network device. So, network device in the world, such as network card, we can also call it as Ethernet card, wireless card, all have a unique MAC address. It's a unique in the world. I mean, my MAC address cannot be used or again with anyone in the whole world. Everyone has their own MAC address. And these are hexadecimal digits. So if you can see this is how the MAC address looks like. Okay. So the network device in the world, such as network cards, wireless cards, all have unique MAC of physical address. Examples 00-25-D3-CE-6C-94. This is a MAC address. A MAC address are hexadecimal digits. So this is actually an hexadecimal, if you see. IP addresses are used to define a 4-byte address to a network device or a MAC address. All the IP addresses are defined in a 4-dot decimal notation. So how the IP address is defined, if you go and check your IP address, if you do ipconfig, it will be in such a way 10.10.10.10. So this is how it is notated as. Okay. This is a MAC address. So MAC address is a physical address of a network card or a device which is sending a packet from a source to a device getting a packet in a destination. Both will have a MAC address. And both will also have an IP address. It has to have an IP address. Only then the communication can happen. Like suppose if I am sending you a letter, okay, if I am sending you a letter, suppose to whom I am sending a letter. I am sending a letter to Usman. He lives in California. So in his home, there are multiple people. There are so many people. I mean, his parents, wife, children's, Usman brother, Usman's sister. There are so many. To whom I am sending it? I'm not sending it to Junaid. I'm sending it to Usman. So that's a MAC address. I'm sending it to Usman. That's him. That's the MAC address. And to which address? His address. He lives in California. He lives on 1023 some street in some apartment. That is his address, and that is the IP address. If you divide it or if you see it that way, so that is the address where it has to go, and to whom it has to go is the MAC address. Okay. So if you see the notations of IP address is a 4-dotted decimal notation. For an example, 10.10.0.10 0.0.0.0 255.255.255.255. So the IP address can start from 0.0.0.0 to 255.255.255.255. 256 to So when two devices are communicating with each other using an IP address, they are actually communicating with their MAC address. Once the first packet reaches the receiver from the sender, it communicates back with its MAC address and vice versa. Right? This is how the communication happens. I am sending a letter to Usman. Then Usman will send a letter saying, okay, boss, I got it. Send me more. Then I am sending it again. Then again he said, okay, I got the second packet also. Send me more. So this is how the communication happens. Okay. So when two devices are communicating with each other using an IP address, they are actually communicating with their MAC address. Once the first packet reaches the receiver from the sender, it communicates back with its MAC address and vice versa. The max number of IP addresses are limited. It was actually not limited. If you see the number, I mean, I cannot even read this number. This is 4 billion trillion 4 trillion 294 billion 967,296 are the IP addresses. 2 to the power of 32, because IPv4 is 32-bit or 4 bytes. So 32-bit is 4 byte. Okay. So this is these many IP addresses we can have. So you understand that, right? So I said it starts from 0.0.0.0, 0.0.0.0.1, 0.0.0.0.2. So that can go up to 255. When that 255 is done, then 0.0. Guys, do you know that? Do you know it, or shall I explain it? These IP addresses, how it is.
It is understood.
Sorry, can you come again?
It is understood.
Not understanding.
Understood.
You
It's
understand?
clear.
Okay, so you know about it. So from 0.0.0.0 to 255.255.255.255, There are these many IP addresses only that can be used in the world. It's not to a specific region, in a world. So now see how many phones we have, how many laptops. So the IPv4 is getting saturated. So that is the reason IPv6 has came into the market. A version 6 has came into the market, and it has a very big footprint. A 32-bit limitation has nothing to do with the CPU limitation of 32-bit. At the time when they designed IPv4, no one accepted that there would be use for more than 4.3 billion IP addresses. So at the time when it was created, nobody thought of that this number will get exceeded. They thought this is the largest number, boss. So let's make it this way, start the communications, and it will nobody will use more than this. But now it's I think not even one city is using that. So the 2 to the power of 32 comes in because IP addresses are further translated into binary, which is 2 to the power of x. IP address range, number of addresses. So from 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255 is this much IPs. 116 million. I mean, I can't even read this, man. Okay. So if you see this 172.16.0.0 to 177.31.255.255 is these many addresses. 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255.255 is 65,536 addresses. IP addresses in the above tables are considered private IPs. These are all private IPs. Okay, so that means these are not public IPs, and these IPs has to be used by the private companies. Suppose you are working for a company, they might have these IP addresses. If you see your internet will have IP address in this range. I'm sorry, just a minute. They will have an IP if you ping your laptop, which is coming from your router because of the internet. It comes between these two range. So IP address in the above tables are considered private IPs. Any IP address that is not in the above range is automatically considered a public IP address. One more thing I want to mention you here, like every website is also have a IP address. Like if you see google.com, it's an IP address. So every website is also a public IP address. So private or reserve IPs in detail. So 0.0.0.0/8 current network only valid as source address. This is a private network. This is a loopback address. This is a link local private network. Reserved. This is reserved /24 slash. So all these IP addresses are, you cannot use it for, see this is used for broadcast. So you cannot use these IP addresses in private IP or as a public IP. These are fixed for some use. Subnet mask and classes. Class A. So The IP addresses are again divided into Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, Class E, and that is not explained here. So Class A, Class B, Class C. So Class A is 1 to 126. Class B is 1 to 126, and 127 is a loopback address. 128 to 191 is Class B. 192 to 193 is Class C. Default subnet mask is 255.0.0.0. Network host 255.255.0.0. And if your IP is in the range of 192 to 223, the network subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255.0. Static versus dynamic IP. So static IP address versus dynamic IP address. So whenever you go out with your cell phone, and when you come back, you get an internet. You are getting an internet because your router is assigning an IP address to your phone. And how is it assigning every time your IP address will be a different one? How is it getting assigned? Using a DHCP protocol. This is the most simplest way we can see. So same thing can happen with the servers as well. When you install a server, there are two ways of giving an IP address: a static IP address or a dynamic IP address. Dynamic IP address is given by the DHCP server, and it is given automatically. Static IP address is the one you give it, saying that okay, my server IP address is going to be 10.1.0.20. When you give an IP address, it's a static. When a server gets it automatically, it's a dynamic IP address. Static IP are the IP addresses which are manually configured by a user or an administrator on a network or a workstation. Dynamic IP addresses are automatically generated by a service called DHCP. What is the full form of DHCP? Dynamic Host Control Protocol. A DHCP server is a private network assigns an IP address. The most corporations, if not all servers, are assigned a static IP address, and workstations are assigned a dynamic IP address. Address resolution. Hosts on the network on internet are usually known not by IP address but by name. Example: Google.com, Yahoo.com. When you type Google.com in your browser, the address is then translated into an IP address with the help of DNS. What is DNS? Domain name server or system. The easiest example of DNS is like your phone book. Every number in a phone book has a name. So let's see an example. Ping Google.com. See what's happening. Do you see that? I'm pinging Google.com, and oh, are you guys able to see it right? Let me do this. Right, I'm pinging Google.com, and it's pinging an IP. See, this is an IPv6. So Google is now using IP version V6, IPv6. Now if I ping Facebook, see, Any website. They have blocked their ping request. Right. So every website has an IP address. When you type google.com in your browser, the address is then translated to an IP address with the help of DNS. The easiest example of DNS is like your phone book. Like every name has a phone number. DNS server advantages. So now let's speak about what is a DNS server. As if now, when you are putting it um, a google.com or facebook.com on your browser, your operating system and the public DNS server is resolving the host name to IP address. Okay. One more thing I want to show you. Hmm, we used to do this before. Don't know whether. What do you see? You can open up a Facebook. A DNS server advantages. The advantage of DNS server is that it makes it nearly impossible to remember IP addresses for each website that you visit. For example, a daily website that every visit, such as google.com, is translated to 72.14.204.103. This used to be an IP address of Google, but I don't know whether this is still working or not. Let's see, because they are all now changed. Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, they changed from IPv4 to IPv6. So, but this used to be a Google IP address. You can either enter google.com or this for every time you want to visit Google. Various types of network services and protocols. DHCP. What is DHCP? Dynamic Host Control Protocol. A very important protocol. Dynamic Host Control Protocol servers are used for automatic network configuration, IP address, gateway, and gateway DNS on a client, workstation, or laptop. It also provides a central database for keeping track of computers that have been connected to the network. Okay, the use of DHCP is they give new IP addresses to the new computers or servers, whatever we wanted. That is given through DHCP. So it assigns automatically an IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway to a computer or a server. What is DNS? Domain name system or a domain name server. DNS server provides name resolution. The quickest Example of DNS server is a phone book. So DNS server is the one who resolves host name to IP address to host name. What is a gateway or a router? A gateway is a final point where the data switches from one network to another. So a router is nothing but a service which routes the traffic from one network to another. For example, when you access google.com, your whatever the router you are using, Linksys, or if you are from Time Warner cable, so you have some black color box, right? From where you are getting an internet. Okay. So if you are putting google.com in your computer, that is going to the router or a gateway in the final point before your workstation hits Google server. So before the Google website coming to your screen, that packet google.com when you entered that is going to router before the workstation hits the Google server. Also, when you access google.com, your Linksys gateway or router is also routing the traffic from LAN to WAN. So as if now, when you put google.com, the packet goes to router, and that is a LAN. And from router, it released into the public. That is a WAN. And it goes to Google and says, "Oh, boss, come. People are calling you on this address." So Google website comes to your screen. And this happens in nanoseconds. Print server. A print server manages a quick print queue. Print servers are actually used in companies. So there is a server where and there are multiple people connected to it, and if anybody needs a print, they send a queue to a print server sees, okay, which printer is there to take a queue, and because there are so many people in a company who are requesting for a print, so there's a queue, like he does in first, then second, then third, then fourth, then fifth. So that's how it goes. A print server manages a print queue to various printers in a network. A print server also controls a priority. For example, first come first print basis. Suppose I gave a print first. So what happens is, in a company there is a print server. I have 20 printers in a network. I gave a print that goes to a print server, stays there because there are 20 other people who requested at the same time and their prints are getting done. So my number is 20th. So my print will come at the 20th. Various type of network services and protocols. File servers, FTP server, web server, email server. So file, just a minute, let me see all other things. Active Directory or LDAP, VPN server, VLANs. Okay, we will not work on VLANs and we will end it here. File servers. A file server is a common location where you would save things like documents, system images, or softwares. Okay, it's a type of a server. Every company has it. File server where you save the data. FTP server. What is FTP? File transfer protocol. A file transfer protocol server is a service that can be enabled on the server which a client or user can use to upload files into that server. So file server is where you save the files. Now FTP is a file transfer protocol to upload files to a server. What is a web server? Web server is a server that runs on a server. A web server is a service that runs on a server which can be used to host your own website. Like if you want to host your website, usman.com, you need to have a web server. Email server or Exchange server, an email service that runs on a server which maintains all your emails and also has additional functionality like creating email account, controlling spam, and various other options like compose, junk folder. So this is all happens using Exchange server. Active Directory or LDAP service. An LDAP, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol server, is a centralized or a common service that runs on a server which maintains all the user information such as user account for users to log into their workstations. So when a user logs into a corporate network workstation, the workstation authenticates the user against LDAP server for these credentials. VPN server. A VPN is a virtual private network server, allows user from an outside network WAN connect to an inside network LAN. A VPN allows administrators perform day-to-day tasks while working from home or remotely. Okay, guys, let me know if you're okay with what we have gone, or do you have any doubts? I'm not showing you about VLANs right now. We can speak about this later. Also give me a feedback saying, are you guys getting bored with this topics, or am I making it interesting? Or tell me, tell me something.
Yeah, it's good still very much. It's really hard for us to grasp because it's all information. Because most of the information is, um, I believe all the candidates they know it because they're really familiar with this. There is some information
Musa, you are not clear. I am unable to hear you properly.
So I would say so far it's good. It's good. So far it's good. Can you hear me now?
Not that good.
Oh, so there's something problem with my mic, so I will leave it to others. Thank you.
I will send you this document also if you want to read it. Brahmin, are you understanding it?
Yeah, I'm following you. It's good. It's very good. Just yeah, I'm good. Just the document is, if you can send it, that would be great actually.
Sure, I will send you.
Thank you.
Usman, are you understanding it? Usman, I can't hear you. I still can't hear you, man. Call me. Zishan. Zish.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, Zishan, are you understanding it, or are you feeling any Difficulty. See, this is just a basics I want to cover before I go into the server directly.
Yeah, you can go ahead. No problem.
You are understanding it,
Because
right? You are not
yeah.
getting bored or anything.
No, nothing like that.
Chalo, perfect. Let me call Usman and get his feedback, and then I move forward.
Sure.
Okay, now the very important thing I have just omitted, or I am not going to show you about VLANs. We will speak about it later. And before that, I want to jump to Blades because I'm also very much excited to show you the new server and show you how to install um, Hyper-V. And I want to do it soon. So that's why I want to move fast. Let goes into Blade and try to understand what exactly the Blade is. You know what the server is, but I have no idea whether you know what the Blade is. So this is a graphical design of HP BL460C blade. This is how it is. I mean, if you see it, this is the access panel. This is a two-way quad-core Intel processor, where it shows here number two, and if you say this, so it's a small server. It's a server. It's a small server. So previously, if you, I will show you a rack server how it is. I mean, it's a giant thing, and the blade has the same capability, but it's a very small thing. So this is how it looks from inside. Any server, if you see from inside, this is how it is. So if you see this two-way quad-core processors, 8 1 GB fully buffered ECCM DIMM. Yeah, if you see this, these are memory sticks. So how many are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can put 8 memory cards on it. So it depends upon you if you want to put it 8 GB or 1 GB or whatever. 32 GB, 32 GB into 8. These are two processors, quad core processors. So as I said, quad is 4. So 4 processors plus 4 is 8. If there is hyperthreading on, so it's like 16 processors. So if you see this is MLX Max in Fiber Channel HBA. So this is how the HP C7000 enclosure look alike. Okay, right now I am speaking about HP, and I am going to show you a Dell rack server. This is not a rack server. What I am showing you, this is a blade server. Okay, so this is how the blade server looks. Okay, this part is the front. This is the back. So this is the front. So this one server, what you saw here, this one or this one is actually one server. So C7000 is the enclosure name. So this enclosure is C7000. This is BL460, this is BL460, this is BL460. So this is 1, 2, 3. So these are 8 servers here, 8 servers here. So this enclosure can have 16 servers. What is the benefit of Blade? First and foremost, it takes less space, less wiring. Got it? Less space, less wiring. So this 3 servers, I mean 3 rack servers are equivalent to 16 servers what it has right now. And if you see it from the back, it's something like this. There are these are all fiber channel connectors. Unfortunately, at my home I don't have it, so I will not be able to show you this. These are all Ethernet cables, fans to cool down the server. Again, fans. It has one cable to connect to a monitor, fiber channels, power supplies, SAN storage network. What is a SAN? We will speak about this later. Very important topic. So as I said, right, types of disk. So SATA, SAS, SSD are the type of disk. Disk means hard disk. So what is SATA? Serial ATA, the slowest of the group, and is designed more for consumers and prosumers, between consumers and in enterprise grade use. SAS. SAS, I have SAS drives in my server. It's a serial attached iSCSI. SCSI, ISCSI is called iSCSI. So serial attached SCSI is very similar to SATA, but the protocol that is used is SCSI rather than ATA, and is designed as an enterprise grade solution. SSD is the most latest one. Solid state drives, the entire drive is built with flash based memory rather than sectors and cylinders. So SSD contains no moving parts. So SAS and SATA, these drives has moving parts. They move. There are cylindrical parts which moves, and that's how the data gets saved. But in SSD, there is nothing that moves and can handle higher IOPS at times above 1000% than SATA and SAS. RAID, very important topic. I think Venkat might have covered it before. Just I need a thumbs up to know whether RAID has been completed before. If yes, then I will not take it. Guys, do you have an understanding of RAID? Brahim, Musa, Usman, Zishan.
Yeah, the rate. I did not. I still have something not clear yet. Can you?
Sure.
Just
I will go ahead. I will go ahead.
Okay.
Very
Okay,
important. Very important topic. RAID. It's a redundant array of independent disk. The full form of RAID. RAID is a technique of storing the same data on multiple hard drives. So, on multiple hard drives. Hard disk to increase read and performance and tolerance, fault tolerance. In a properly configured RAID storage system, the loss of any single disk will not interfere with users' ability to access the data stored on a failed disk. RAIDs has become a standard, but transparent feature in both enterprise class and the consumer class storage products. Various RAID types: RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 6, RAID 10, RAID 01. So in my company, we usually do RAID 1 and RAID 5. I will explain you these. RAID 1 is also called as mirroring. So what happens is, um, let me try to open and show you. Yep. So guys, if you see, I am trying to open up. This is my server. This is, and it's didn't log in. Okay, guys, now if you see, this is my server. It's PowerEdge 6950. I'm going. Where is storage? Is there a storage here? Oh, I can't see the storage here. Anyway, no issues. There is the presentation. I will show you this. What is RAID 1? I did a RAID 1 in our server. I will show you that. There is one other way also. So okay, let me continue. So what is RAID 0? This is the RAID 0. This is how it is. So to do a RAID 0, you need to have two hard drives. Okay. The RAID 0 is called as striping, and it requires minimum of two disks, an array with is configured in RAID 0. So there is an option. So in the server, when you go into the server, there is an option to do it. So we can do it. I will show you how to do it. Configured RAID 0 mode will have its data written subsequently and concurrently. In RAID 0, if the disk fails, all if any one disk. So what happens is, when you save a data, A gets stored here, B gets stored here, C gets stored here, D gets stored here. So what happens is, if this disk failed, you only have incomplete data here. So it's of no use. If this disk fails, it has incomplete data here and it's of no use. Okay, so in a company, mostly we don't use this RAID. Why? Because if one fails, the other don't have the right data and it's of no use at all. But this is also one of the RAID, okay? So now let's see RAID 1. Mostly used, people use it very widely because it's a mirroring and costly. Not that costly, but see, your work is done on using one disk, but you are using two. Why? To save the data. Why are you saving the data? Because it's a very important data, or if application requires it. See, suppose you are working on a very important thing and you wanted this should not get destroyed at any cost. So at that point we use it. So mostly every company, in my company, all operating systems are installed on a RAID 1. So RAID 1 is also called as mirroring. also requires a minimum of 2 disks. An array with the disk configured in RAID 1 mode will have the data written identically. I mean, A is written here, A is written here, B is written here, B is written here. So if this hard disk fails, you can still have the data. If this hard disk fails, you still have the data. If both hard disks fails, it's gone. But mostly at the simultaneously at one time, both hard disks will never get failed. Only one will get failed. So in RAID 1, if the disk fails, the data will not be lost because of the mirroring. Now this depends upon how important the data is. Because RAID 1 is also not, I mean, if two of the disks fails, then what? It's gone. You don't have anything. RAID 5. If the application is so important, boss, whatever it is, my data should not get lost. It's the most important one. Okay, if you go that way. RAID 5, stripping and parity requires a minimum of, so see, stripping is RAID 0. RAID 0 means A here, B here, with a parity is RAID 5. Requires a minimum of 3 disks. To start with, you only need 3 disks. An array with a disk configured in RAID 5 mode will have its data written concurrently, but all the disks will have a parity sector. If in RAID 5, if more than one disk fails, the data is lost. So so what happens is A1, A2, A3, A priority. So A saves here, B saves here, C saves here, and a priority bit. Parity bit is the one which has the information of what these has. Same thing goes with this, same thing goes with this, same thing goes with this. So there is a parity which is also getting saved. Suppose this is gone. Suppose this disk fails. Okay, so this information is here, A1. A2 here, A3 is here. So actual data is A1, A2, A3. A priority is this data. So same thing goes here. So suppose this disk is gone. So B2 is here, B3 is here, and the priority is here. If this disk is gone, A1 is here, A2 is here, A3 is here, and A2 is here. So parity will have this information. So even in this RAID 5, if one disk is gone, you still have the data. But if two disks are gone, then what? Your data is incomplete and it's gone. In RAID 5, if more than one disk fails, all the data is lost. So if your application is that important that you cannot lose the data at any cost, then it comes RAID 6. Here, even if the two disks are lost, you still have the data. RAID 6, I never saw anyone doing it. I saw RAID 5, I saw RAID 1 mostly, and RAID 10 or 01. RAID 6, parity stripping plus double parity requires a minimum of 4 disks. Right? RAID 5 requires a minimum of 3 disks, but RAID 6 requires 4 disks minimum. an array with a disk configured in RAID 6. So you have to configure it in RAID 6. Will have its data written concurrently, but all the disk will have a double priority sector. So A1, A2, A3, and it will have 1 and 2, two priorities. B1, B2, parity, B3. So what happens is, even if the two disk fails, disk 0 and disk 1, still you have the data. Data is not lost. So this depends, I mean, which you might be confused how to select which RAID. You will never select a RAID at this level. Okay, you will never select a RAID. Application team or somebody will tell you that we need this RAID, and you have to configure the server. Okay, but behind that, this is what it is. So if sometimes this will happen, I mean, it happened to me. Application team come up saying, boss, I need the RAID 5. So now I have to be aware RAID 5 means how much RAID 5 do you need? If I ask them, we need 600 GB RAID 5. So what this means, he needs 600 GB, 1, 2, 3, 4 drives, and a 600 into 4. Okay, we get SAS drives in 600 GBs. So 600 into 4, RAID 5. So that means 600 GB. RAID 0 plus 1 and RAID 1 plus 0. So 0 plus 1. So RAID 0 and RAID 0. So what will happen in RAID 0? If this disk fails, everything is gone. Right? So this RAID 0 and RAID 0, two RAID 0s, and on top of it, RAID 1. So what is RAID 1? RAID 1 is mirroring. So this is one RAID 0, this is one RAID 0, and on top of it, RAID 1. So RAID 0 mirroring RAID 0. That is RAID 01. High data transfer performance. So what will happen here? It requires 4 disks. You can see. If this fails, nothing will happen. You have this set completely. If this fails, nothing happens. You have this completely to use. Same thing here. RAID 1 plus 0. RAID 1. What is RAID 1? RAID 1 is mirroring. This gets mirror here. Again, different data. It gets mirror here to RAID 0. So what is RAID 0? Stripping. So that is 1 plus 0. A very high reliability combined with high performance. So if this data is lost, nothing happened. You have the data here. If this data gets lost, nothing happened. You have data here. If this both get lost, nothing happened. Your data is here. No. If this is lost, you have it here. If this is lost, you have it here. So simultaneously, if this is lost and this is lost, still you have your data here. Definitely, these are very expensive implementations. What is the advantage? RAID 0 plus 1 is implemented as a mirror array whose segments are RAID 0 array. RAID 0 plus 1 has same fault tolerance at RAID level 5. RAID 01 has the same overhead for fault tolerance as mirror alone. Excellent solution for sites that need high performance but not concerned with achieving maximum reliability. What is the disadvantage? RAID 0 is not to be confused with RAID 10. A single drive failure will cause the whole array to become inaccessible. A RAID level 0 array. Very expensive, a very limited scalability at a very high inherent cost. All drives must move in parallel to work to proper track, lowering substance performance. RAID 10, mostly RAID 10 is used if they are using it, but I never saw someone using it. RAID 10 is implemented as a stripped array whose segments are RAID 1 array. RAID 10 has the same fault tolerance as RAID level 1. Very expensive, high overhead. All drives must move in parallel to proper track. Stripping, mirroring, parity. Stripping. Disk configured in stripped mode will have the data written across the disk. Mirroring. Disk configured with mirroring mode will have the data mirrored or maintained an exact replica in another or opposite disk. This is mirroring. It's understandable. Parity. Parity mode works by performing a logical operation on the data that is being stored. Parity mode works by performing a local operation on the data that's being stored on the disk. The result of the logical operation is written to a sector on the disk that are in the array. To read more about parity, please refer to information about parity doc. And I don't have that. You need to search on Google to get more information, man. So backups, we will speak about the full backup, incremental backup, differential backup. We will speak about this later, man. We will go into the server now. Okay. Guys, do you have any doubts what we have covered till now? I mean, networking, CPU, about the Blade server, about the RAID. Please let me know. Now the time in CST is 11:25. Our class is till 1 o'clock, right? 10, 11. कब शुरू करा था मैं 9, 11, 12, 1. Yes. If you see this is the server I have. $69.50. Now I'm closing my webcam. And I'm going to open okay, what is this? What we are looking at? This in Dell we call this as drag. How are we opening? Right now my server is switched off. My server is not turned on yet, but I have two Ethernet connections connected to my server. In this server we have total 8 Ethernet cards. Just a minute. Yeah, we have 8 Ethernet cards, so I can connect 8 Ethernet cables, and I have a iDRAG card. So what is an iDRAG or a drag? iDRAG or a drag is it has its own bus, it has its own processor. So what it's a backdoor gateway. Okay. Um, See, server is accessible to me, but in the companies, server are going to be in the basement, or servers are going to be in some remote location where you don't have an access to go and do something on the server. Suppose the server is struck, like your computer gets struck, servers got struck too. Rarely, but it does. What will you do? When you do RDP, you will not be, usually you do RDP to go into the server, or you do SSH to go into the server, but this time, for some reason, you are unable to go in. So how will you access the server? So this is the back entry. This is the back door. But for that, you need to know the drag IP. How I am logging to the server is using a drag IP. What is the drag IP? 192.168.0.120. I have set it up this drag IP. I can change it at any time I want to. I will show you all that. Okay. So this is the back door. So suppose my server is struck right now, and I don't know what to do, and my server is and I cannot access it because my server is not with me. It's in the data center somewhere. Now how to access it? So I go to console. I open this first, and then I try to see the properties, what's going on. I can you don't see anything. Then I go into remote access or go to system. Then I go to console. Here you get all the information. This is PowerEdge 6950. This is the BIOS version. By the way, I have after getting a server, I updated the BIOS. I updated the firmwares. I did that. Okay. So this is the service tag. This is the Lion 6950. This name I have given this name. Rahim, this is full screen only. Can't you see it?
Okay, now I see it. Yep, thank you. Yep.
Okay. So I have given this name Lion 6950, and all of the information, like this is the NIC cards that is connected right now. These are the MAC addresses. So the rack information, it says drag 5. It's saying about its own hardware. Now let's see the console. Let's go to console, try to connect it. And you see no signal here. So what and I cannot power on this system from here because the server is not struck or anything. It's power offed by me. So I am turning it on. I will show you. Okay, I'm powering it on. You can see it here, right? So um, you can see it here, and you can see it here. So this is what's happening. So this is what's happening on the server, and you are seeing it here, uh, using a different using a drag. So what you see here is a drag, and what you see here on the video is what is happening on the server. So suppose I am not in front of the server, but I am sitting somewhere on fifth floor. Server is in the basement, and this is what's happening on the server, and I can see it using a drag. So this is a backdoor entry. Okay, now I'm closing my webcam, and it's a it will take some time to open. Hey, can all of you hear me? For some reason Zishan cannot. Zishan, can you hear me now? Zishan. Guys, please confirm if you can see the screen clearly. I know you will not be able to see a big screen. This is the max you can see. Yeah, there is no way I can change it. But is it clear? Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Hello. Hello everyone. I just connected a headphone so that I can be more clear. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, it's clear now. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we
Perfect.
can hear you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Is it more clear?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Zishan, can you hear me?
Hello?
Zishan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, and you can also see the video, right? Yeah. Can you see all the things written
Yeah,
clearly?
yeah, I can.
Okay, perfect. Let's
Yeah, yeah,
move forward then. Let's move forward. So if you see here, when I configured this server, I'm not going to configure it again, but I'm just showing you. Like when I configured it, I put it on a virtual disk. If you see RAID level 0, uh, see RAID level 1, I have configured it RAID level 1. Uh, then there I created one more disk group. So this is one disk group. This is one disk group, and this is one disk group. So in different RAID levels. So my main operating system is on RAID level 1. So the hard disk size is 136 GB. It's a SAS drive. Um, so yep. See, RAID level 0. RAID level 0. So two of my hard drives, I put it on RAID level 0. Um, so if anything happens to the disk, data is not saved eventually, and it's 278 GB and 278 GB. So let's go back and start the server. So I'm canceling it. So did you guys understand the RAID thing? What I was trying to make you control or delete to reboot, which I was trying to make you understand about RAID 0, how it gets configured. It's it has to be configured on a new server. You cannot configure it on something which is already made. Okay, so this is what RAID is.
So, Brother Rishan, quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes, tell me.
Yeah, so when you said in case of RAID 0 and 1, so we are mirroring the data. Okay?
Yes.
So you said under RAID 5, you said you 600 GB. So is it each 600 GB? Or I don't understand it before. It was like,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
can you explain it for me, please?
Sure.
More deeply? Yeah.
Sure. See, I just gave you an example of 600 GB. It can be anything. It can be 136. It can be 256. So this depends upon the SAS drive.
Is
So
that each hard disk or is it combined with other RAID 5? So we said in RAID 5 we have A, B, and C, right?
see, in RAID 5 there should be 3 disk minimum, right?
Yeah, so three disks. Is it combined 600 GB or is it each
No,
600 GB?
each one 600.
Okay, I understand now.
Each one 600. 600, 600, 600. So what you get at the last is 600. I will show you.
Okay.
I have also said RAID 1, right? In RAID 1, uh, it's a mirroring. So suppose
Yeah.
if a customer comes to you and says, um, I need 136 GB RAID 1. Okay,
Okay.
if it says RAID 1, so now what does that mean is I will show you. Just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. So what I have shown you uh, here, and we have opened this console where you are able to see inside the server, um, is drag, using a drag. Okay. Now what you see is the inside the server. Now what I am doing is I am going to OMSA. This is Dell. Okay. So this is how you go. Oh, I cannot open this for some reason. Okay, now we have opened OMSA. This is Open Managed Server Administrator. Okay, and I am doing this on the server. Okay, I was doing that using a drag. So what I am doing right now is on the server. You are understanding the difference between these two things, what I'm trying to make you understand, right? On the server, from the drag. You are seeing from the drag. I am doing on the server. So when I first installed the operating system on the server, I updated the firmwares, and then I installed this OMSA on it. So OMSA is the one who will take me into the server, show me each and everything, the storage. So we were speaking about um, so these are the connectors, enclosures, physical disk, connectors, firmware, virtual disk. So this is how I created. So if you see here, I created a RAID 1. So now now tell me, RAID 1, it says 136 GB, and in RAID 0 I have this too. So when I open this PC, you will see a C drive of the same 136 GB. This is a removable drive. This is E. So I have C, X, and Z. That is what I created. So but in total, I have 4 drives. But if you see here, I have 3 RAIDs. So RAID 1. So if you go into virtual disk, you will see two physical drives. So RAID 1 is a mirroring. So to make it a RAID 1, you need two physical disks. You need two physical disks to make a RAID 1. Simultaneously, if I had to do RAID 5, I would have needed minimum three physical disks. Since I have only four disks, and that too, these two disks should be of same size. One is 256, one is 336, it will not work. Two of them have to be of same size. So when customer comes to you asking for, I need 136.12 GB RAID 1. So the first thing should come to your mind is, okay, he's asking, so what do you have to order? Okay, what do you have to order is
So
two disks,
so hard disk.
two hard
Yeah.
disks. And the two hard disks, if you put it under RAID 1, that will become 136 GB. Same thing goes with RAID 5. When the customer comes saying, I need 136 GB for my RAID 5, so first thing should come to your mind is how many disks RAID 5 takes?
Three hard disk.
Minimum three hard
Three
disks.
hard
So
disk.
you need to order three hard disks and put it into RAID 5. Got it? The RAID concept, all of you, it's a very important topic and very hard. I can understand that. It took some time for me also to understand it correctly. If you have any doubts, you can contact me anytime. So, but this is what it is. So if you see the capacity, so I have two disks of same RAID in RAID 1.
So how we can configure? Like, is it by drag within the server, or like the first time you show us through by drag?
See,
It's it like that.
first time when we do it, you have to do it through that Control R. If you remember the green color screen I was showing you, where I show
Yes.
that there you configure first time. For the first time, when you suppose when you got a server brand new from the company, you will have nothing on it, no operating system, you cannot open it. When you start the server, you put control or control alt on it. I can restart the server to show you.
Please.
Usman, Zishan, and Brahim, ask me all the questions. Um, if anything you are not understanding, anything. See, if you ask me the questions, that will show me that you are showing some interest. If you ask me the questions, that will also show that you are understanding it. If you are getting bored at any point, let me know. I will change the topic. Or if you need a break, I will give you a break too. the server has Hyper-V installed on it, so that is the reason it's taking a little bit of time to shut down. But just give us few more minutes. Yes, it's stopping. It's restarting now. So first, when you get a server, a brand new one, you will not have an operating system on it. You will not have anything. You will do the connections, but not you, the networking people. They do the connections on it, and that's how you will be able to open it using a drag. So if you're opening it using a drag, here you are, Control R. So I pressed Control R on my not on my server. I pressed it on here on this PC. So I have two different. There is a monitor here which has a server on it, and this is my own laptop where I'm teaching you. So this is the first step you will do it. You will before doing anything, you have to make a RAID. So I did a RAID here. Like here are the physical disk. If you virtual disk 0, here I created a disk, a RAID 1. I cannot do it again because it's already created. So we cannot do it again. So we have to delete everything and then start it. And we can only do it once. And once it's done, it's done. So now if I have to do it, I have to delete everything. And then I have to do it. Okay? So this, you will come here. And it's not that hard. It's easy. Now if you see here, I have 4 disks called together. This is 1, 2, and this is so these two are in RAID 1, which I did, and these two are in RAID 0 and RAID 0. Control P, uh, Control N, Control P, Control N, Control N. So enable control BIOS, enable this. Factory defaults, I can do it again, but we will lose everything if I do it. Right, guys? Did you understood it? Musa?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear. Yeah, it's clear.
So that is how it is. So if you don't have an operating system, you go there for the first time and then to do all your rates. You have to do that, and then you install the operating system. So I am going. I am. I mean, we still have an hour time, right? So I'm going to delete all the operating system what I have right now. After showing you all the configuration of my server, going to OMSA, which is Open Manage Server Administration. So every vendor has their own handlers. Like in HP, they say it's onboard administrator. In in Dell, they say OMSA. In HP, they say ILO. So everybody has their own names, own set of things to be done to make that's you can say that that is an server configuration to do their server configuration. So before installing an operating system or anything. So in Dell, it's OMSA and iDrag, the backend. In HP, it's ILO and onboard administration. Right. So I'm going into OMSA once again to show you the complete configuration. Okay, now we are into OMSA. So when you go into system, see, every OMSA is similar. It's every server is similar. I can show you more latest. I am going to show you more latest servers also. Okay, I I don't have it personally. I will open it on. I can show you my companies also. Okay, so this is how it looks. So what exactly it is? Uh, if you go into storage, I mean, once you have see this this storage RAID 1, I made it when I go into control R, there I made it. But these two, I came here and then I created it. If I have one more disk, I can create it. Go to create virtual disk. I don't have any disk, but if I have it, I can create one more. So I updated the firmware of this. Very easy. There is nothing. You can you can go to Dell website. Okay, I'm doing nothing. Going to 6950. Here it is. Directly I am into the drivers and downloads. It will show you all the downloads that are available for 6950 server. This is what my server is, and showing nothing right now. I have no idea what's going on with my Internet Explorer. There is something it's not liking it. I can open it here. See, here are all the for 2003. No, we have the new operating system. These are all the operating systems. If you see here, these are all operating systems. It's asking for which drivers you need. I need a driver for Windows 2012 R2, and now these are the drivers for Windows 2000 R2. So I have updated few of them like firmware, drag firmware, these kind of. I did the updates. So you need to find it, and don't worry. In the company, they will not ask you to do it straight away. There are different people who work on it. I mean, at a- it's like a level 5 people who actually configure all this. I'm showing you this only for the understanding, clarity of how things happens. Like when you click here, you see C drive. How is the C drive came here? It actually came here from here. It has to be configured here. And when you see it, it's RAID 1. So this is the storage. So let's see about the information OMSA has. What's going on? So when I click on software, it says Windows OS distribution. It says unknown. I don't have a regular licensed copy. It's an unlicensed one, so we will have some issues. So the version, when system started, boot time, the name of this management version, the version of OMSA, and all the other things that are in it. See who is logged in. I am logged in here as an administrator. Login users, session details. You can see all the logs. I have turned it off. I don't need it. Number of logged in users, it says 1. It should be 2 because I am also logged in here. But since you guys are looking at it, I don't want to change it. Okay, we have some remarks here. So this is how you look at it. Hardware logs and power supply. What it says about hardware logs. I don't see anything here. And what was the other one? The power supply. Yes, the power supply is not right because what it says, see, every server has 2 power supplies. So this is detected and the second one is not detected. Okay, look at it. I am changing the power cable, going to attach the other power cable now. Done. Power supply opened. Refreshed it. Not yet showing, but it will show us. There are 4 CPUs. What is the CPU? Dual core AMD Optron processor. I have it. So cores count 2. Got it? 2 dual core, 2, 2, 4, 8, 16. So that means I have 16 processors. Let's see. See, It got resolved. We have it. So you get all the information here. So you see, this is what it is. I have one serial port, 4 USB ports, which shows all the information. Oh, here are the Ethernet cards. So these are disabled, 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 disabled. This is the Ethernet card I'm using, and that is connected. And I also have a drag connected. That's what I'm trying to see how to show you drag. So I can use all this. I can connect my Ethernet cables, and I can use it, but I'm not using it. In a company, they use multiple Ethernet cables. They do NIC teaming. They do. There are multiple virtualizations which has to be done. I'm not doing it, but this can be used, and in company they use it. See the MAC address. Okay, let's see the memory now. Memory is RAM. So location, where is the RAM? It's system boarded on motherboard. Use system memory. Install capacity. What is the capacity? 32 GB. Maximum capacity 131. I mean, I only have 32, but I can use up to 132 GB. Number of slots available. Number of slots available, 16 slots. So I have 16 slots and I have 32 GB. So that means slot used 8. So I'm using 8. 8 divided by 32. I have no idea how much is that. 32 divided by 8. That means I have 4 GB RAM sticks. 8 in my server. So this is a total capacity, max capacity. And it also shows where I have it. So I have 2 RAMs here, then I have nothing here, then I have 2 RAMs on DIMM 5, DIMM 6, then nothing here, then I have 2 here, then nothing here, then 2 have here, then nothing here. So I have 8 more slots. I can use it if I have to. Is chassis closed or open? So that's what it's detecting. It's closed. What's the firmware? This is the firmware. This is the remote access control firmware. Fans. There are 4 fans. This is the RPM they are running on. BIOS version, battery, main chassis again, and system. I'm going into preferences, and if you see power user access granted, I have tick mark here. Only then people can access to it. Now I am restarting my server. I also want to show you one more thing. I will not restart it from there. I just pressed F10 to go into utility mode to check few things. I'm restarting it again. I pressed some wrong key. So that was the utility mode where you um, check whether the memory is working fine or not. I actually wanted to show you something else. F2 is BIOS. Did you guys ever saw BIOS? BIOS settings?
Yeah, whenever I was installing VSphere, I had a problem with that, so I have to
Oh yeah,
enable
you
that
guys have to
technology.
open virtualization there. I will go into BIOS. I will show you. Will show you once and then restart it and then go into another option. I'm just trying to show you everything that is on the server. It's very similar to your laptop. There is no difference at all. Only thing is it's giant, it's big, it has more. The BIOS what you saw on your laptop, but look wise it might be little different, but BIOS is BIOS. This is BIOS version 1.4.6. So this is how the BIOS look for this server. You might have seen a blue colored screen in your own laptops. That is little different, but at the end they are all same. So if you see memory, you can see you have 32 gigs. This is the DDR2. This is the speed of the RAM, video memory, redundant. CPU information, if you see it's 64-bit, yes. Uh, Core speed is 260 Hertz. Bus speed, virtualization technology. Uh, this can be disabled, can be enabled. So I enabled it because I want to show you Hyper-V. It has to be enabled. And the power management can be disabled, can be enabled. I enabled it. So these are the two processors I have. Dual core AMD Optron, and this is the other one. This is the other one, and this is the other one. All together 4 processors. Boot sequence is once again how to boot using CD-ROM, C drive, D drive. I mean, you assign it. We will go into BIOS more and more when we start creating the new servers. And hard disk drive sequence, like this is the hard drive, then USB, which USB, then there is one more USB at the back. There are 2 at the back, and this is one RAID controller. USBs again, floppy and flash drive. I don't have it. Boot sequence priority, integrated devices, RAID controller. If I disable it, then RAID will be disabled. And these are the NICs. So I can also disable the NICs. System security, if I have to put up a system password or set up a password, or I didn't. So what should power button do? Power button enable means I can disable it. So anybody click the power button will not shut down the server. NMI button, there is a small button there, but it's for a different use. AC power recovery, last. So whatever the data is lost, it can be recovered. The last data can be recovered. So this is the BIOS version of Dell PowerEdge 6950. Right? It's little different, right? What you have seen and what this is little different. It's not the same.
Yeah.
But altogether you have the similar options. I'm going to restart the server once again to show you the iDrag option, or the drag option. Yes, Zishan. Bolo.
You were saying something.
I just restarted the server once again to show you one more option, and then we will go into operating system directly. Okay. So if you see Control R is for, I have already shown you the rate controller where I have did the rate, the green color screen. So it take you there. F2 is again BIOS. F10 is for utility mode where we came accidentally. And the F11 is boot menu. Boot menu is from where exactly you want to boot your server using when it's usually used when you are installing something. And there is one more called Control E, very important. This is where the iDRAC comes in. If you see, this is the drag information. 192.168.0.120 is the IP address I gave it to drag, and the MAC address of drag, subnet mask and default gateway of drag. So this is how it got enabled. I have enabled it. So, and the speed of the drag, DNS information, I don't have a DNS server, so I didn't mention anything. Virtual media attach, virtual flash enable, these are the are also options. Smart card, no, we are not using any smart cards. Smart cards are for the logins, for the security. We are the on the highest level of administration right now. Account access enable, account privilege admin. So this is a password I have given, root, and the other passwords. This is for root is the username and Kelvin is the password, which I have defined here. Reset to default, I can do it at any time. System logs. I actually don't want it. So this is how I set up my drag, and that's the reason if I go here, I'm disconnecting the screen now. Okay, I'm restarting the server in the meantime as well, and I'm disconnecting the screen, and I'm going to show you that. Okay, this is coming up. Let me close this. So if you see 192.168.0.120 is the drag IP. When I click enter, it asks me to enter username and password. I'm putting root
Kelvin. And when I click enter, I go into drag, a remote side. And what's the full form of drag? Dell Remote Access Controller. I'm accessing it remotely. So if you see media, you will realize that you have seen this flash memory. Remember this? Virtual flash, virtual media. I said enabled, that is why you can see this. I can install the operating system from here, guys, from this laptop, which is wirelessly connected to my router. I can install an operating system to the server. That is the use of a drag. I'm not going to do it because this will take 4 hours to install it, because everything will go on a wire and then gets installed, so it will take hell lot of time. Okay, but this is the way you can install it. Like, browse, just a minute, browse is not virtual media, launch VMC. I will show you how I can do it. Continue, run. Okay, add image. I don't have an image with me, but I have an if I have an ISO file, I can attach it and put it in. Attach it, and then I can install it. Console, connect. So now you will see the server. What's going on in the server? Okay, so I have shown you all the options that are available on a Dell server. So you will have the similar options on HP. You will have the similar options on any other service. The looks are going to be different. The options are going to be here and there, but are going to be literally these things. I mean, RAID will never change. You need to have a RAID to do anything. You need to have a administration mode where you can log into the server. You need to have a backdoor entry like an iDrag in Dell. You will have a different thing in HP or in Cisco to remotely access the server and work with it. So these things will be always be there. So let's see if we have completed the OMSA. So if you see, I have logged in to iDrag using root Kelvin, but in OMSA, I have to log in using my server administration, server user ID and password, because I am logging in using the server. So we are almost done with this thing, with OMSA and the Dell server and the basics of the server. So guys, let me know if you have any doubts or anything. We only have 25 minutes left to 1 o'clock. So I don't think it's a good time to install a new operating system on the server. So what do you guys have in your mind? Can we do the same class tomorrow at the same time? And we will start it by installing the new operating system altogether and go from there. What do you say?
Sounds good to me.
Because it's going to be a new topic. Do you have any doubt? Any doubt what we have completed today? Any question?
About the about tomorrow, you said about around the same time, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Okay. Is anybody? I mean, anybody agreed with that time, or anybody want to in the evening or anything like that?
I also have a evening class going on. I'm going to start the same thing what we did it now in the evening class as well. If you want to join it, you can join it again. It's going to start at 5 o'clock CST.
And tomorrow for this, for tomorrow is going to be the same thing, 5 o'clock.
Not tomorrow. I'm starting it today. Yes.
No, I'm talking about the same class we're going to have tomorrow.
Yes, the morning class will what I'm going to put it in the morning. It's going to be same in the evening.
Okay, probably I'm going to join the one in the evening tomorrow. I have something to do in the morning.
Okay.
The installation and stuff like that.
Okay. So this was Musa, right?
No, this is Braham. It was Braham.
It was Brahim. Okay, Brahim. Sure. We can do it in evening. And yeah, Musa, tell me about yourself. Did you understood everything, each and every bit? Was it good? What is bad?
Yeah, it was quite interesting, very interesting. So thank you. And tomorrow I'll join the same class in the morning, this is the perfect time for me.
Perfect, man. I'm so sorry that I got late today. I will try my best to be to join it at 9 o'clock. But if you don't see me online, just call me. Okay.
Okay.
I got up by the call of I think Usman. I'm very sorry for that, man.
No problem, sir.
Zishan. Zishan. Usman. Usman, I can't hear you. Okay, Usman. So yeah, I will speak with Zishan also, and Brahim and Musa. You can leave the conference, and we will come to it again tomorrow, and we will start with the new installation, and we will go from there. Okay.
All right, thank you. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye now. Thank you.
Bye. Khuda Hafiz. Hello, Usman.
Hello. Roshan. Hello. You there, Roshan?
अच्छा वहाँ डाउट हो रहा है। देखो जब भी अपने को नया सर्वर आता ना अपने पास, जैसा कंपनी में नया सर्वर है, पहले उसके ऊपर रेट कॉन्फ़िगर करना। और सर्वर आता क्यों हमारे पास? देखो तुम आईटी वाले बंदे हो, ओके? तुम सर्वर खरीदोगे क्यों? तुम इसलिए खरीदोगे जब तुम्हें एप्लीकेशन टीम बोले कि मुझे सर्वर चाहिए, तो एप्लीकेशन टीम तुमको ये भी बोलेगी कि उसमें और क्या चाहिए, कि उसमें उसमें रेट 1 चाहिए सी ड्राइव पे, रेट 10 चाहिए डी ड्राइव पे, वो बोलेगी। तो तुम वैसा वैसा कॉन्फ़िगर करोगे। तो बायोस में जाके इनिशियल जो सेटअप होता ना, उसके अंदर तुम एक रेड 1 सेटअप कर लिए या रेड 5 सेटअप कर लिए, जिसके ऊपर ओएस डाल। देखो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम डालना है तुम्हें हार्ड डिस्क में, रेड से के बाद, ओके? रेड के बाद अगर तुम डालोगे, देखो रेड 1 के बाद जब ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम डालोगे, तो दैट मीन्स 2 डिस्क के ऊपर ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है। समझो एक डिस्क खराब हो गई, तो यू स्टिल हैव दैट whatever you have in the C drive, you have in 2 disk। अगर एक खराब भी हो गई तो दूसरी है तुम्हारे पास। तो या समझो रेट 5 करे तुम, तो एक खराब हो गई तो 2 है तुम्हारे पास। क्या बोले? थ्री डिस्क चाहिए। 3 चाहिए मिनिमम। एक बार गूगल पे निकाल के रेट के बारे में थोड़ा पढ़ोगे तो डाउट्स और क्लियर हो जाएगी। ओके चलो कोई कुछ नहीं करो, रखता हूँ। तो कल सुबह अटेंड करोगे या शाम? तो सुबह में बचेगा कौन मेरे पास? चलो परवाह नहीं, तुम्हारे पास दोनों ऑप्शन है, जब तुम कर सकते हो जब कर लो, करो कैसा। शाम में जरा इजी हो जाएगा। डाल लो, शाम में आ जाओ, शाम में आ जाओ, परवाह नहीं। तुम आज भी फिर से अटेंड करना चाह रहे हो तो फिर से भी अटेंड कर लो। हाँ फिर से अटेंड करना चाह रहे हो तो फिर से पढ़ लो। चलो फिर अपन शाम में फिर मिलते हैं, फिर करते हैं। फिर से मैं यही बताऊंगा, वहीं से स्टार्ट करूंगा जैसे स्टार्ट किया था, और यहाँ तक ही बताऊंगा, या हो सकता है मैं थोड़ा ज्यादा भी बता दूं। चलो then। क्या बोले? आ जाओ। ओके चलो कोई परवाह नहीं, आ जाओ। ओके चलो, खुदा हाफिज़।